Hey everyone, welcome to another video by Optionables. My name is Saket, and today in this video we are going to discuss about a topic which many of you might agree or disagree with me. And the topic is whether buying a hedge is necessary when you do a short straddle or a short strangle. So here I am going to present you a lot of data points and research where I am going to show you whether buying a hedge is actually going to save you a lot of money in the long run, or will you actually end up paying a lot of money in the long run. So we are going to do a thorough research on the same topic, and I am going to present you the points. So I would request you to watch this video completely till the end. So after watching this video, your perspective to hedging might completely change. After watching this video, also do let us know in the comment section if this video was useful and your thoughts about hedging. And now, without further ado, let's quickly move on to the video. And if you have liked the content meanwhile, also don't forget to hit the like button, share this video and subscribe to Optionables. Thank you so much for joining. So let me start off this video by doing a simple short straddle at 39,000. So when I sell a 39,000 call option and a 39,000 put option, so which is a weekly expiry, expiring in 4 more days, so we get this particular payoff graph. The point of making this video is many people are afraid to go or do a naked short straddle because they fear unlimited risk. When you actually get this graph, you get to see something known as the max loss, which reads unlimited. To be honest, this would cause a lot of concern if you don't know what exactly you're doing. So that's the reason when people see this max loss as unlimited, they generally end up buying the hedge. So most commonly, they end up buying the hedge at break evens. So here the break evens are 38,285 and 39,714. So most likely people will end up buying a hedge at 38,300 and 39,700. So when they actually end up buying this particular hedge position, so they feel that this position is much better than carrying a naked short straddle. So here the max loss reads only 5,000 rupees instead of unlimited, and they can go and sleep peacefully because they don't have any overnight risk. So whenever you do a naked short straddle, people generally come and ask me, what if there is a 20% gap down? How much are you going to lose? Right? So today we are going to discuss different aspects of having a hedge position and whether having this extra hedge position is really going to help you in the longer run or not. So this is the entire crux of this discussion, and before continuing, I would like to tell you this entire discussion will be divided into different aspects. The first aspect would be regarding the cost of hedging. So now when you end up hedging your positions every single week, what is the total cost of hedging that you will be paying in a year, and is it actually worth it? In the second aspect, we are going to discuss more about the profitability of trades with or without a hedge. So under this topic itself, we have further 2 subtopics where we are going to do some data crunching and backtesting. So with this, we are going to get a fair idea whether hedging is really beneficial in the long run or not. Finally, we are going to go on to the third aspect where we are going to conclude this by seeing what is the right way to do naked option selling. What should be your position size, what should be your risk framework, and how to approach option selling, naked option selling, so that your psychology will always be in the right place. So as we discuss about these topics, every single thing will be supported by data. So as I go through all of these aspects, I will be providing data points for the same, and we are going to discuss more on the same lines. On top of this, I would also want to know your views after you watch the complete video in the comment section. Did this video actually change your view about naked option selling? So now, without further ado, let's quickly move on to the first aspect, the cost of hedging. In this particular example which we discussed in the beginning, so here we have done a naked short straddle and we have purchased hedge at the break even levels. So 38,300 was our downside break even and 39,700 was our upside break even. So together, when I actually calculate, we have paid 94 plus 135. So let me just round this off to 95 and 35. Totally put together, in a week, we will be giving almost around 230 rupees or 230 points for hedging. So believe it or not, 230 points per week would result in close to around 11,960 points in a year. So just think about it. You're paying close to around 12,000 points a year just in hedging cost. If we have to break this down, 12,000 points is equivalent to 30% of Bank Nifty. So that means tomorrow if Bank Nifty is crashing down by 30%, you are actually going to lose 12,000 points. And the total amount of hedging cost what you are paying the market is again around 12,000 points. That means market crashing 30% in a year once is equivalent to the total hedging cost that you would be paying. Now imagine one lot of Bank Nifty is 25 into 11,960 points is equal to 2,99,000 rupees. That means you will actually end up losing close to around 3 lakh rupees just by paying for your hedges. So without these hedges, you had an opportunity to make additional 3 lakh rupees. So now you tell me, what is the probability that you will be losing this 3 lakh because of a gap down or a gap up? So now let's try to put the same thing into a better perspective. So we saw that we are paying close to around 12,000 points in terms of hedge every single year. So one lot is going to amount to 12,000 into 25, which is going to be close to around 3 lakh rupees as our hedging cost. So now let us see how we can actually equate this hedging cost. So let's see how many times that we have to gap down by 1% to actually meet this hedging cost of around 3 lakh. How many times we have to gap down by 2%, how many times we have to gap down by 3%, 5% and 10%. So let's say tomorrow is Monday and we are actually gapping down by 1%. So even if there's a 1% gap up or a gap down, you see that we are actually not going into a loss at all. So that means this particular scenario is completely ruled out. So we won't be in a loss even if we gap up or gap down by 1% because it is actually going to leave us with a profit. That means now we are going to see case number 2 where the gap down is going to be around close to 2%. So when there is a 2% gap down, we are going to lose close to around 2,500 rupees per lot. That means if we have to lose 3 lakh rupees, we have to gap up or gap down more than 2% for 120 days. So is it really possible for us to gap up or gap down for more than 120 days? This is what we are going to see next, whether this has actually happened or not. So next, let's see what is the total loss we are going to face if we gap up or gap down more than 3%. So for a 3% gap down, we are going to lose close to around 11,500 rupees. So let's quickly make a note of that. So you can gap up or gap down more than 3% for 26 times a year to lose equivalent to your hedging cost. So all we are trying to do here is bring in an equation between the hedging cost and the gap up and gap down. So when you are going naked short straddle, we are just measuring what is the number of times you can gap up or gap down at a particular level to lose what you are losing from hedging. So we saw that by hedging, we are losing close to around 3 lakh rupees. So we also saw if there's a 2% gap up or a gap down tomorrow, we are going to lose 2,500 rupees. That means to lose 3 lakh rupees, we have to gap up or gap down for more than 2% for 120 times in a year. Similarly, for more than 3%, we have to gap up or gap down 26 times a year. So when we see a gap down of 5%, So at 5%, we are going to lose close to around 30,000 rupees. So at 10% gap down, we are going to lose 81,000 rupees. So let me just make a quick note of the same. So at 5%, we are going to lose 30,000 rupees, and at 10%, we are going to lose 80,000 rupees. We can open with a gap up or a gap down of more than 5% for 10 times a year to lose equivalent to what we lose from hedging. We can gap up or gap down more than 10% 4 times a year. So 4 times a year is going to leave us with 3,20,000 loss. So 4 times a year to lose equivalent to what we lose from hedging. So now what I'm going to do is download some historical data from Yahoo Finance, and we are actually going to do the analysis and see how many times have we actually gapped up or gapped down more than 2%, 3%, 5% and 10%. So we have data for 5 years starting from January 2017 till August 2022. So I have also calculated the total gap up or gap down in terms of percentage starting from 2017. So 2017 is also the time when we actually got to see the beginning of weekly options in Bank Nifty, and totally we have 1388 days. So first we are going to see what is the total number of days where we have seen a gap up or a gap down of more than 2%. So here I have also plotted histogram, which is going to help us represent the same data in a better way, and all of us together can end up doing the analysis. Here what it is representing is the number of times Bank Nifty has actually gapped up or gapped down within this particular range from 2017 till 2022. So now just to help you understand this better, between minus 0.32% to 0.24%, Bank Nifty has opened 545 times out of totally 1388 times. So between minus 3.69% to 3.13%, Bank Nifty has opened around 6 times out of 1388 times. So I can just zoom in for you to understand this data a little better. So here we have the histogram, and I have just zoomed it in, so it is going to help us understand this better. So here I have also put the values of 2%, 3%, 5% and 10%. So now let us try to understand how many times has Bank Nifty actually gapped up or gapped down between this range. So let's start with 10%. So when we actually look at this, Bank Nifty has never gapped up 10% in the last 5 years on the upside. On the downside, we do see one gap down between minus 9.87 to minus 9.31. So let's just make a note of this, that is 1. So on the lower side, let's see how many times it has gapped down between the range of 5. So here we have one range, that is minus 5.38 to minus 4.82, minus 5.94 to minus 5.38, and minus 6.5 to minus 5.94. So here we have 0 plus 1 plus 3, which is 4. So we'll just make a note of this, 4. And on the upside, we have this particular range, that is 4.74 to 5.30 one time. And here we have a 0 and here 2. So totally 3. So in the last 5 years, we have seen a gap up or a gap down around the range of 5% for close to around 7 times. So you can see in the last 5 years, we have seen a gap up or a gap down of in and around 2% for 44 times, in and around 3% for 23 times, in and around 5% for 7 times, and around 10% for 1 time. So now this is for 5 years. So let's see how much it will be for 1 year. So this is the data what we have right over here. So in a year, we have gapped up or gapped down more than 2% approximately 9 times, and more than 3% approximately 5 times, more than 5% approximately 2 times, and 0 times around 10%. Let's quickly compare it with the results what we have got, right? So how many times can we gap up or gap down more than 2%? Around 120 times in a year. But how many times have we actually gapped up or gapped down? So only around 8 times. We have gapped up or gapped down for close to around 5 times, 2 times, and 0. 5 times, 2 times, and let me just put this as 0.5, right? Markets can open 2% for more than 120 times, but in reality, we have only opened around 8 times. Market can open around 3% gap up or gap down for more than 26 times a year, but we have only opened around 5 times a year. And similarly, markets can open around 5% gap up or gap down 10 times in a year, but we have only opened around 2 times in a year. And similarly, for the 10% gap up or gap down, we can open 4 times a year, but we have only opened 0.5 times. So this clearly means you're overpaying for your hedging. The actual loss what you get from gap up or gap down is going to be much lesser than what you end up paying for your hedge. So this is quite clearly proved right over here, because you're not going to see so many times gap up or gap down happening, and we have also accounted for a 10% gap up or a gap down. So we can afford to see a 10% gap up or a gap down 4 times in a year, and still we will end up paying lesser than what we end up paying for a hedge. So now you might say, Saket, you did some kind of analysis, but still this was not convincing enough for me to believe what you're saying. So can you show me a better way where you can prove that you have actually made more money without hedging than hedging? So for this, we are going to open Stockmock, and we are going to do backtesting from 2017 since Banknifty options were introduced. So Stockmock is one of the best backtesting platforms out there. So I have also put a link in the description below, which you can definitely check it out. So by opening an account with the link in the description below, you will be getting 20 free credits, which you can use for backtesting. So now here I have done a positional trade where Friday morning at 9:16 we'll be entering a simple short straddle. So there is no stop loss, no hedge. So very simple ATM call sell, ATM put sell on Friday morning 9:16, and we'll be exiting this on Thursday afternoon 3:29. So similarly, on the other hand, I'm going to run one more back test where we are going to do an ATM short straddle and have a 800 points hedge. So 800 points on the call side, 800 points on the put side. So this is assuming that the ATM short straddle generally will be pricing in close to around 800 points, right? So even here the parameters remain to be the same. So we are entering this Friday morning at 9:16 and exiting this Thursday afternoon at 3:29 p.m. So we are running this backtest from January 2017 to August 26th, and even this is from 2nd January 2017 till August 26th. So now we have the results. So as I scroll down in both the tabs, you do see that in this particular tab where we haven't hedged, so nowhere we have kept any stop loss. So in this particular tab where we haven't hedged, totally we have made a profit of 4,49,000 rupees. So now let's quickly move on to the tab where we actually ended up hedging. So in this particular scenario, we have made a profit of only around 88,000 rupees. So how did this actually end up happening? So by hedging, you have made close to around 3.2 lakh lesser in terms of profits. So when you see the probability, you do see that it comes with 50-50 when you hedge the position. But when you do not hedge the position, it comes with a probability of 63 and 37. And also, you might see one thing here, that the max loss here is 85,000 and the max loss here is 14,200. So obviously there is a huge difference between this, right? So when I actually click on this, as you can see, this was during the budget week, and after budget week, the market ended up rallying quite a lot, and no wonder we would have lost. And this is also with an assumption that when market is actually going up so much, you're not even exiting your position. So you're just holding on to the position irrespective of losing so much. So which is definitely not the reality when you know the budget is there and market is going up. So you definitely wouldn't hold your positions either without adjusting or exiting your positions even after a 10-15% move. You might be surprised why exactly the max loss has not come during the COVID time. So the answer to this is because during COVID times, the premiums were so high that they were already pricing in such a move. So in spite of a big move, we never really got to see a huge loss during COVID time. So when we actually come up and go to the month of March 2020, so you do see that we haven't lost much at all. So we have just lost 15,000 rupees, and within the next 2 months, that is April and May, we have actually ended up recovering the entire 15,000 rupees. So alongside, you can also see in the year 2020, the COVID year, if you didn't hedge your position, overall you would have made a profit of 74,000. If you actually hedged your position, you have only made a profit of 35,000. And you can see by not hedging your position, every single year you have performed better than hedging your position. So there has not been a single year where a hedge position has actually outperformed an unhedged position. And you can also see right over here, the ratio of return to max drawdown or expectancy is much higher in an unhedged position compared to a hedge position. And all this is because of the reason what we already discussed. We are overpaying for the hedge legs. So in reality, we do not get to see so much gap up or so much gap down. Markets are not going to move so violently. And in spite of accounting for all sorts of black swan events, we do get to see an unhedged position is almost 5 times better than a hedged position. So this is only 90,000 profit. This is 4,50,000 profit. Clearly, we can see 5 times better in terms of overall performance of an unhedged position. So you can definitely check out Stockmock and do some backtesting yourself and share the results with us down in the comment section below. And this is the crux of this entire video, where we try to tell you that do not be so scared of going naked. And without realizing, most of the people are overpaying for the hedge positions. You can see here, to achieve the same performance, if you are going 5 lots of hedge position, so let me just change this into lots of 5. Instead of going 5 lots of hedge position and trying to get the same performance, just go 1 lot of naked position. So it is going to give you the same kind of performance, and you really don't have to worry much about huge gap up or gap down. So with 5 lots, totally you have achieved 4,44,000 in 5 years, and with just a single lot, you have achieved 4,50,000. So now you tell me, instead of going 5 lots with hedge, just go 1 lot without hedge. So it is going to improve your performance metrics quite a lot, because your probability in the first place is higher. So this comes with 63%, this comes with 50% only. And on the other hand, you also see your expectancy and return to MDD. So this is much better for the unhedged position. So the expectancy of an unhedged position is twice as much as the expectancy of a hedge position, is almost equal to the loss, maximum loss what you have achieved from 5 lots of hedge position. So now I'll just come to Sensibull, and let's say we are tomorrow opening around 37,500 or a 4% gap down, and we just have 1 lot of naked short straddle compared to 5 lots of hedged position. So if we open around 37,500 right over here, so you get to see the total loss what we have from the hedged position and the naked position is almost the same. So that means technically you're not going to lose that much even by having the naked position if you have your position sizing right. So now we are going to discuss about the naked short straddle risk framework. Because whenever you're going naked, the most important thing is to manage risk. No matter where the gap up happens or where the gap down happens, you have to ensure that your loss is always going to stay within your risk framework. So now how do we actually define our risk framework and what is the ideal amount of lots you should go for what capital is something we are going to discuss now. So we saw that the margin required to do one lot of short straddle is around 1.5 lakh. So the contract value of Bank Nifty is around 40,000 into 25, which is almost around 10 lakh. So why 40,000 into 25? 40,000 is almost the current level, around 39,000 and odd, and 25 is the lot size. So for a contract which is worth 10 lakh in value, we are going to pay only 1.5 lakh rupees as margin. So that means we are just paying close to 15% as margin. So the total margin what we are paying is around 15% of the total contract value. So now that means if we just have 1.5 lakh in our account and if we end up doing a naked short straddle, then tomorrow if Bank Nifty gaps down by 15%, then our entire capital is wiped out. Because the thing is, 15% is something which we don't often get to see. It might happen, let's say, once in 20 years or once in 30 years, or it might be also once in 50 years. But the moment we gap down or gap up by 15%, our entire capital is completely wiped off. 15% of 40,000 is around 6,000 points. So when you do 6,000 into 25, which is your lot size, you're going to get close to around 1.5 lakh. So that means whatever money you put in is completely wiped out. So in this case, what should be the ideal amount of capital that you should be using is something we are going to discuss now. So the thing is, we should ensure that no matter where we open, we do not end up losing more than the gap down amount. So for example, tomorrow if we are gapping down by 10%, right, we shouldn't lose more than 10% of our capital. Similarly, if we are gapping down, say more than 15%, we shouldn't lose more than 15% of our capital. So it should be always within 15% or within 10% of the capital. Let's say tomorrow there is a gap down of 30%, then we shouldn't lose more than 30% of our capital. So it should be always within 30% of our capital. So this way, we should plan our trade. So why exactly am I telling this? Because let's say tomorrow we end up opening around 15% lower. When Nifty itself falls 15%, there is absolutely no harm in losing 15% from your option trade. Because if you had put all this money in Nifty, you would have still lost around 15% itself. So that's the reason, irrespective of how much the market falls, your loss because of the naked option selling shouldn't be more than the percentage of market falling or going up. That means we should always have an ideal position size such that no matter where we open, our loss is always restricted to less than where the market actually ends up opening. The amount I would suggest is 9 lakh. So 9 lakh per lot overnight only. So if you're doing intraday, for every 1.5 lakh, for every 2 lakh, go one lot. There is absolutely no problem because you can keep a stop loss. When you come to overnight, there is no stop loss. That's why we have to be very careful with our position size. For every 9 lakh, I would suggest going one lot. And the reason for this is very simple. Why I'm suggesting 9 lakh even though the contract value is 10 lakh is because Bank Nifty itself, the short straddle itself would have priced in close to around 1000 points. So that will be giving us some extra buffer. So 9 lakh per lot would be your ideal position size. And tomorrow, even if market actually ends up opening around 80% lower or 90% lower, you won't lose your entire capital. If you go with 1.5 lakh, then definitely not just losing your capital, you will lose close to around 3 to 4 times of your initial capital what you have put in. So in this case, even market opening around 80 to 90% gap down is not going to make you lose all of your capital. So for overnight, I would definitely suggest you to go 9 lakh per lot. But when you're doing this intraday, you can go 1.5, 2 or 2.5 lakh per lot. So the reason is because you can keep a stop loss, and even if there is a sudden move, you can always cut your positions. So this is something which you're not going to be able to do if you're carrying overnight position. And this is the most important part of this entire video. Just because we told it's better to do naked short straddle, if we end up doing naked short straddle without proper risk management, then a black swan event might hurt us really bad. So that's the reason, even though we do a lot of naked short straddle, we always keep in mind that we follow this particular rule. We generally try to keep this position size of 9 to 10 lakh per lot overnight. So irrespective of where the market opens, we always know our loss is going to be limited. Since we already know 99% of times we are going to gap down less than 3%. So this is a very important thing which we have to note. That means 99% of the times our loss, irrespective of where the gap up or gap down is going to be, is going to stay well within 3%. And this is a very ideal level I would suggest. With this, we also come to the end of this video. I also hope that you found this video informative and you got something to learn from this. If so, do comment what you felt after watching this video in the comment section, and also do not forget to hit the like button, share this video and subscribe to Optionables. Thank you so much for joining.